everybody. This one's called the PEI REBOUND mechanical slider. I'm going to call it the mechanical hybrid slider because there are magnets and mechanics involved. This one really took me for a loop when I went to take it apart, and it's my fault for not taking my time. But if you do have to take it apart, the only reason would be to change the balls on the inside, or perhaps one of these screws comes loose, something comes loose, it falls apart. You need to put it back together again. I will show you how to go about doing that. I had a heck of a time, so please join me for some fun, I guess. Fun for you. So we'll do the usual here and just discuss it a little bit, and then we'll take it apart and we'll discuss it, and we'll do comparisons and weights and measurements and all that stuff. It is a very sweet piece. It's only about $15. I think it's actually going to go on sale here shortly. Tomorrow, I think. Maybe you can find it for around $10 or $13 maybe. And the interesting feature about this one of the interesting features about this, the first thing I discovered about it was it has some built-in magnets. Now that's what holds everything together. Because it is mechanical, there's a single ball and spring right in the middle. And the magnets want to come back together. So if you bring it out to the end like this and just touch it, it goes all the way back. That's why they call it the rebound. At least I would assume. Makes sense to me. But I really like that. And then, like normal, if you just grasp it a little bit, hold the sides a little bit like you would any other slider, you can slow it down as much as you want. And it's at 10 clicks in either direction from the middle. So let's do it up here close once you can see it and hear it. If you're a fan of pings, this one really makes the ping, audible ping sound. Let's do it slowly. Whoops. Well, I was getting some good ping sounds out of it before I damaged it. Yes, I damaged this when I took it apart, and you'll see right here one of the magnets is broken. So yeah, we're gonna take this apart, but I really like this. Really like it. Really like it. And the first thing, we'll get into that here. You know, we'll get into that in a second. There are 4 balls in it, so that's interesting. It's 4 balls. I guess there's 8 magnets, 4 magnets on either side, and then a spring and a ball in the middle. And it's a little longer than what I'm used to this way, but very comfortable, very pleasing. I don't think my broken magnet has damaged it that badly, not enough to where I think I want to replace it, but you get the idea. So you can see there's this metal plate on one side, but on the other side is where the detents are, and there is no metal plate over here. So obviously that has something to do with holding the magnets in, but there's more to it than that. We'll get into it. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to dive into that too quickly. I was going to say, let's compare a few things here first. I was just about ready to go into disassembly mode. But here are a few other Ultim sliders that I have, just for comparison. This one's fairly inexpensive. I don't imagine this one's fairly popular with everyone at this point. It has the 2 balls and 2 springs, and then a single dovetail in the middle. These can be found for about 15 bucks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks in either direction. So compared to that, go. And of course this has no name by unknown maker. This one I believe was being sold as the piano slider, PEI, Ultim, 3 levels, very nice. It also comes with different options for you have standard or dense plates, say different textures. I think you can get the plates separately. I think you can get the covers separately. I think there's the stainless steel covers for this. I think the interior is still PEI. It's just sort of a metal plated covering, but you'd have to look into that yourself. Anyhow, these two. Did we do that with this one? I don't think we did. Size comparison. Oops, I'm not even comparing the right two. When they're extended. That's what I wanted to compare, is when they were extended. So this one's just a little bit shorter. Now, it's not too often you can call something a hybrid, but this one does have magnets and a spring and a ball in it, so it's mechanical and it's magnetic. This one is also a hybrid, but not in every configuration. Depending on which plates you have inside here, sometimes they have a magnet here, sometimes they don't. It seems like there's always going to be a magnet on this middle piece on either side. This middle piece has a magnet, but depending on which kind of case halves you have, or interior liner, there may or may not be a magnet there. But this one is a hybrid in that sense, and I really like it. I can tell those magnets are there because part of my pattern of play here is to bring it down part way and bring it down the whole way, and that's what those magnets really facilitate. You could feel that they stop the travel. So that's a hybrid in a different sense. If you have one of these, you can compare those in size. I know I've probably done that already, but keep the flow going here. This would be the top B slider from Metal Toys DZ. I have the ZZ plate in this one. This one's pretty quiet. Let's see here. Let's do the side-by-side stuff. And last thing we'll look at is the CP3 from Mackie. This is a bit longer. Oop. Thickness. This is just it's kind of an unusual shape. I knew that going into it. It's kind of long. I didn't know what to think about that, but boy, I can't tell you how happy I am with how well that works. There's no fine tuning that needed to be done or anything like that. Unfortunately, it only does come with one spring and one ball. The ones that are installed in it, there were no extra parts at all. So you could experiment yourself. What's in there right now is just probably a stainless steel spring, and it appears to be a transparent glass ball. And we'll measure that when we take it apart, but I think it's going to be 3 millimeters, and I'll bet that these roller balls are just regular 4 millimeters. We'll find out as soon as we take it apart. But let's go ahead and weights and measurements next. We'll do measurements first. So it is, looks to be between 52 and 53 millimeters tall, just under 22 wide, and between 11 and 12 millimeters thick. For weight, this does have magnets in it, but I'm not gonna mess around too much. We'll weigh it this way, and see if there's much of a difference. Okay, 26 grams we're getting there. 24, 25. Okay, so not too much of a difference. We'll say 24, 25 grams. Okay, let's just take a closer look at this thing, and then we'll take it apart. So if you want to just generally pop it apart, you can do that. There is a spring and ball in there, so let's get it so that we are looking at the shiny metal surface side. We'll call that the bottom. And then we'll just lift this top part straight off. And be very careful because that ball's tiny and it will come out. The spring is also magnetic and it wants to come out right away too. Now the funny part about this was the first time I took it apart, I was being all careful and stuff, you know, I don't want to lose these balls. And then by accident, I like dropped it or something. And then I realized, well, look at that. It has that same feature that that I've seen on a couple other ones. Many of you are probably familiar with the, I believe it's called the Magic Play by MCZHI. McZ, maybe? McGee? I'm terribly sorry, I don't know what pronunciation should be, but this one has that feature where the balls are captured, you don't lose them. At the same time, roughly the same time, this came out, and this is from GD EDC, and it's called the Come Full Circle. And it has the exact same principle, so that you don't lose your balls. So that was interesting, very interesting to run into. But it serves that purpose. It also serves the purpose of holding these magnets in, which you really don't need to access. The only reason you should have to take this apart, and believe me, I wouldn't do it if you don't have to, just because it's tricky, and I broke mine. But if these screws came loose for some reason and it fell apart, maybe you need to put it back together, or if for whatever reason you want to try some different balls in here. So I don't foresee a need or a reason to do that. But in case you did, we'll go ahead and take it apart here. So before I forget about it, let's see what the size of this inner glass ball is. No, these are so unreliable. I always say Harbor Freight. Don't rely on Harbor Freight for accuracy. 2.87. So basically 3mm balls on the inside. We'll check the ones in here once we extract them. Okay, that'll be the first part of this, is to remove these screws. A Phillips 0 was the best fit I found. These are Phillips head, but a Phillips 0 is going to be the best fit. Now keep it held together with your fingers. That screw's magnetic, and I've had a little bit of trouble getting it out before. There we go. Okay. All right. Now, this is the trick. Keep everything held together. Take the top part, put it back on. Don't let up on anything. A matter of fact, another tip would be let the balls, see the balls are all loose and moving around. Hold it so that the balls are down at the bottom of each thing, and then snap it together. Okay. Now we can flip it over and carefully lift off. It should just be the PEI part that comes off. And it is starting to. Mine is a little tight because one of the magnets was a little bit screwy with me. Boy, this is taking a little bit more effort than I thought it would. Here we go. Come on now. Okay, there we go. So, the first thing you'll notice is that my broken magnet is over here for some strange reason, and these other three magnets are over here. Now these three other magnets are laying in there on their own. There's no glue involved. Yes, there's glue on them now because I fucked everything up. But, I mean, the glue markings are on there. The glue's all dried up. I had to take it all apart again. These three, all four of these magnets should remain loose, and they should remain in their own little cavities right here. So for a moment, let's pretend, it's fun to pretend, right? Let's pretend we've got four magnets over here, nice and loose. Let's pretend I didn't break this one at all. That'll make me feel a whole lot better. So the fact that the plates were kept together are the only reason that those magnets that stay in those cavities. And the reason I have a broken magnet was because I didn't understand that. And when I took it apart, all the magnets smacked together, and these are tiny, fragile little magnets. I didn't measure them, but if I did, I'd say they look to be about a little bit more than maybe 1/16 of an inch in a square cross section. I don't know how long they are that way, but I guess we could find out if it really matters that much. Well, you know, if you needed replacements, at least I can tell you now what they are. So they're 20 millimeters long, and we'll go to the broken one over here because it's exposed. And they are 2 millimeters thick. So if you needed to buy replacements, which I don't think I need to, I'm going to keep it the way it is. I'll explain why this one's here. The broken one is here in a moment. But again, we're in pretend land. There are 4 magnets in 4 cavities over here. And like I said, if you have to take this apart or put it back together again, you would be wanting to get to this point. So let's pretend that it came completely apart. I want to be very, very careful here. Oops. First thing I do is drop one of the balls. Drop the ball. So here's one of the magnets. I didn't think about that before we just measured one. I forgot that we were going to be actually taking them out of their safe places. There's another one. See, they want to go together right away. We'll leave them go together. There's the other one. Now let me locate that ball on the floor. Okay, here we go. Now we're back in business. So say for whatever reason, you have to put this whole thing back together again. These magnets I didn't mention on the other half, they are permanently glued in there, so you don't have to worry about those. We'll keep them out of the way for safety reasons right now, and we'll go back to this for a second. The reason this one's glued in on this side is because when it broke in half, the 2 pieces no longer wanted to line up with each other. And it was impossible for me to lay them down into their little cavities here. At least this one broken one, I just could not get it to lay down in there. And the only way that I got around that was to locate it where it belongs, permanently glue those 2 broken pieces. Remember, they want, now that it's broken right there, for magnetic reasons, science, they actually want to fly apart from each other right now, but they're both glued to this back surface now, so that's the reason that's there. Hopefully that won't confuse things too much. Let's go back to pretend land where we have 4 loose magnets, and you need to put them back in this thing. Okay, well, here is another lesson learned. My phone's camera has been overheating ever since it got its last update. And it's time to update my phone. It's getting a little bit old. The battery's starting to swell. So this thing overheats on me now, but I record in short segments, at least I try to, and that way I can come back and start over if I have to. Well, here I actually finished up the video. I don't know how many minutes I was going there, and I looked up and the damn thing was completely shut off on me, and I only got about 2 minutes. So quite a bit there, but we're going to do it again and do it better. But we were in the process of putting this whole thing back together. So before we do that, one of the things I messed up on the last go around was I forgot to measure what size these were. They're about 4 millimeters, so 4 millimeter balls, 3.96 technically. And what we'll do is take the top piece, the one that has the magnets permanently glued into it, and we want to take this plate and lay it on here, but we want to make sure that we're laying it on there in the correct orientation. And the way you can tell is that these screw holes right here, there's a countersink on this side and not on this side. And I put my hand behind it so you can see. So it looks like a small hole there on the surface, and on the surface on this side it's a larger hole, and that's to accommodate the head of the screw. So the screw goes down in this way. So keeping that in mind, what I want you to do is when you place this plate on here, make sure that the countersunk part, the larger open hole, is facing down, and you just see a small hole on either side. Now the plate is oriented correctly. So, okay, now it's time to put these magnets back in. So, one at a time, I'm going to place them in their little slots here, and rotate them around in your finger until you feel which is the attracting side, and then you just let it fall into place. So there we go. All right, there we go, that's right. Okay, now of course my other magnet is on the lid there. That won't be your case, but we've already talked about that. So I almost put the lid back on. I almost forgot something. What do you think I forgot? The balls. How many times this evening I've done that? So I'm going to drop the balls back on there, and then we'll take the lid and put the lid back on, and just squeeze it back on. It should fit right back in there, and then you can replace your screws. Almost home. Again, do not tighten those screws down too hard because it's just plastic, and those are very fine threads. Okay, now we can put the spring and ball back in place. You see these are all now back in working order. Take the spring. Those darn magnets really want to tug on that thing. Pull it out. Put your little ball. Whoops. Didn't bring my tweezers over with me, and I should have. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Okay. Now, because there's magnets on the top, they're going to attract to that spring. What I do is just get everything lined up and just slap it down on top there. Just that easy. Perfect. Even with a broken magnet. Perfect. Now my method is probably, I do find myself doing this a lot because I think the magnet feature is really, really neat. But my method normally would be to slide it forward all the way fast like that, and I usually grip it a little bit anyhow, and bring it back slowly. And then occasionally I would do something like that. That's if this was just a normal mechanical slider. But the fact that you can do that just adds another dimension to it. And it makes a great ping sound. If that's your thing, if ping is your thing, then you need to look for one of these. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I know this wasn't as organized as usual, but I had fun with it. I hope you have fun with it. If you're having trouble putting one of these back together, I hope it helps you. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.